93.7. My name is Lawrence Umoette. The momentum in the political scene is gathering steam at a very dizzying pace. The players, the big ones and the not so big ones, are not letting up any opportunity to firm up advantage and take down perceived rivals. It's a marathon race with the finish line being Saturday, February 25th, 2023. Promises are flying around. Commitments are entered into. Deals are struck on a daily basis. The ultimate aim is the coveted key to the presidential villa next year. On Inside today, we will continue with our 2023 election series. And my guest is someone you would really want to listen to. My guest is Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the Africa Action Congress. He's also a human rights activist and a pro-democracy campaigner. Welcome to Insight.
Thank you for bringing me. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to see you after over 30 years or thereabouts.
It's probably a little bit more than that.
Oh, well.
University of Lagos.
Yes. Welcome to Insight, Omoyele Sowore. And in the next 50 minutes or thereabouts, we will be talking with him about his plans, about his manifesto, and some other unfolding political developments in Nigeria. Don't forget it's election year, and as we promised on Insight, perhaps once a week we will bring in presidential aspirants and also national chairmen of political parties to talk to Nigerians, and so that we put some questions to them at the end of the day. This will ensure that citizens make informed choices based on what they hear from the big players. Once again, welcome to Insight. My name is Lawrence Umoette, and my guest is Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the Africa Action Congress. Straight up, let's just start this way. You contested in 2019.
That's correct.
And you came fifth with 33,000 votes. Are you going to have a better outing this time?
Well, I've said it several times, and I'm repeating it here, that the votes that was allocated, that I had, was allocated to me by INEC. We do not consider that particular election to be credible.
You think you scored more than that?
Oh, absolutely. That's not an election as far as I'm concerned. The 2019 election was the election without credibility.
But the Supreme Court said it was an election. Well, there was a winner.
Well, it was, I've never seen the Supreme Court reject a bad election in Nigeria before.
Really?
Yes, no.
Well, let's not go into, but I know that several elections have been overturned by the Supreme Court.
At the presidential level,
okay.
Yes, none. Even when the winner of an election said it was a bad election, talking about former late President Yaradua, they still certified him as the winner. Okay,
so this time around, you think you're going to get that prize?
The struggle this time around is not just about holding elections, about credible elections as well.
Okay, another question that a couple of people have heard ask about you is, Omoyele Sowore, why the president? Why not governor? Why not National Assembly? Why not even councillor? Why the office of the president?
I was a president of the University of Lagos Student Union when I was 22 years old.
I know.
So this will be the second time I will be a president. I win.
This president is different.
It's not different, considering that on a serious level, when countries are looking for presidents, they look for people who have the capacity, the courage, and the competence to run the country, not those who have experience that have adversely affected their country. So, because I hear this all the time, why don't you go to local government, chairman of local government, why don't you go to state, why don't you become a governor first? And the answer is simple. Those who have been in those positions who have been president, what did they deliver? Nothing. So maybe it's an opportunity for us to try something new, brand new, because we've been trying the same things all over again. And I'm going to say something that is a little bit philosophical too, and this is for young people, that if the old people refuse to let you have experience by remaining in office forever, where do you get the experience from without fighting for it? Yes. I was once, and I like to tell you this because you probably have been aware of it before. I was once invited to a Shell interview in Ondo State, and they invited only first-class students in the universities. So I didn't have a first class, but I went to the interview regardless. And when they said, I hope all of you here have first class, I stood up and said, no, I don't. Because there's no way you can grow up in the Niger Delta region, drinking dirty water, pollution, acid rain, and have first class. So it's wrong of you guys to come from wherever you came from.
So are you saying nobody in Niger Delta ever has a first class?
No, I'm saying you cannot ask people to get what is not available. Okay. Are you getting my point? And I'm using that analogy to tell of Nigeria that those of us who have on our own pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, we can't keep putting ourselves down by saying, oh, you must keep going lower and lower, when in fact you can aspire to be the best. Obama was the son of an immigrant from Kenya, and his mom was a white woman, and he was confronted with the same thing. You're not white enough, you're not black enough, you're in between, so don't be president. At the point, the issue was his religion. So the political class in Nigeria keep throwing excuses as to why the best in Nigeria should not be in the best positions in the country. So if I go to become the governor of a state, you are satisfied with a president who doesn't know his left from his right? Is that what people are saying? So in countries that are aspiring for greatness, they ask their best to go to the biggest positions.
Okay, there are a lot to talk about, but let's just touch on your political party briefly before we move on to other issues. The African Action Congress. Yes, I know that there are elected officials of your party, but some people have accused you of running that party as a CEO.
Not true. The party was created in August of 2018, and we immediately got into primaries and had candidates in various positions. And as soon as the election was over in February, the party was hijacked
by
the secretary of the party with the help of Governor Wike of Rivers State, because they had the problem with the elections in Rivers. What had happened was that the APC went and adopted our candidate. Now we rejected it outright. And the candidate the APC adopted almost defeated Wike. So Wike was afraid, so he had to run to court. But we were opposed to any relationship with the APC and even sanctioned the individual. But because Wike was unable to compromise those of us in the leadership of the party, he went behind us, got the secretary bribed. 100 million naira was the first amount of money.
These are heavy allegations.
Of course, they have been in court. I'm just telling you because you asked me, so you must be willing to listen to my to my explanations. So, and they hijacked the party. They got a judge, Federal High Court, not far from here, to say that myself and Malcolm Fabi, who you know very well,
Malcolm X,
were no longer the leaders of the party, while I was on my way to the U.S. upon my completion of election to see my family. And that was how they took over the party for between maybe around March or so till June 2nd this year. So how could I have been CEO of a party that I did not run for that period? So we went to the Court of Appeal, fought and got the party back June 2nd. Between June 2nd and when election and primaries were supposed to close, we had 6 days to organize ourselves. So who was the CEO of the party? Is it the guy who ran it for 6 months or the guys who have been running it since 2019 until 2022? So people make all these make up all these allegations just so that they can.
All right, if you're just joining us, this is Insights on Citizen FM 93.7, and my guest is Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the Africa Action Congress, and he's been talking about what his party intends to do and what he intends to do if he wins the presidential election. Now, let's get to the meat of the issue. What difference are you bringing to the table?
I've had serious experience about Nigeria, leadership in particular, and I define this experience by physical involvement in political issues in Nigeria and observation of the political leadership crisis in Nigeria over the last 3 decades. And you are my witness. We started at the University of Lagos. At the University of Lagos when we were student leaders.
You were always getting me into trouble.
When we were student leaders, we had to study. Sorry.
Excuse me.
Yes. We had to study, all night long, and during the daytime, we had to fight for democracy. It was a huge amount of task on our shoulders. Like you said, some of our colleagues, classmates, and schoolmates were of the opinion that we should just abandon Nigeria, graduate and find something to do with our lives. But we decided otherwise. So over these years, I've understudied Nigeria and participated massively in bringing one of the most important turning points in Nigeria's political history, which was ending military rule and bringing about democracy. So, and come to understand completely that without character, without courage, without competence, you can't turn this country around. And where do I get my courage from? Participating in the struggle against military rule, right? Where did I get my character from? Ensuring that all the temptation that was thrown at me when I was a student leader, I did not fall for any of it, including when student leaders were being bribed with 505. Most people don't know what the 505 Peugeot car is today because it's extinct practically. And the consistency over these years shows that having understood the problems, having understood Nigerian problems, and Nigerian problems are categorized into 2. There are ones that are institutional, characteristically corruption, lack of electricity, and there are some that are foundational. And that is the history of Nigeria itself, how Nigeria came to be, how the people did not participate in creating the country called Nigeria. The same way how Africans did not participate in the meeting they had in 1885, what they call the Berlin Conference, that partitioned Africa. So it's understanding the foundational and the institutional and marrying the two by way of solutions that will bring about the Nigeria of our dream. What are the foundational ones? It has to do with the Nigerian people coming together and deciding what future to brand for itself or to organize for itself. The institutional ones are things that are in some cases very simple to fix. But in Nigeria, leadership in Nigeria that we've observed over the years and experienced over the years make it look as if the simplest task are like trying to, they make it look like rocket science. What are the tasks of road construction? Make it difficult. Employment, they'll make it look difficult. Security, they make it look difficult. Such that Nigerians have gotten to a point where they're always believing that there has to be some extraterrestrial force or president that must come and solve Nigeria's problem. And I'm saying that having experienced all this, having participated in some of the most difficult tasks of nation building, I am better experienced, and I will make a difference. There's no question about it, because when I was in university, I made a difference in the life of the country. When I left university, I made a difference in the life of the country by way of my involvement in media. I made a difference in organizing protest movements in the country. I made a difference in personal development of myself. Having left the University of Lagos battered, as you know, and traveling all the way to one of the best universities to do my master's in the US, I made a difference globally, speaking about environmental issues, human rights issues in Nigeria. I made a difference by teaching in a university for 10 years in the US, without most of you even knowing about it. So, and I've made a difference by ensuring that I am different from those who destroyed Nigeria.
Okay, let's look at your candidature. Some people have also described you as radical, too radical, so to speak. This set of people believe that this may just be your Achilles heel, your major disadvantage. Some people point out some of the things you say you would do has been too radical. You're going to legalize marijuana, going to shut down police barracks, while your colleagues are paying homage to the political makers around the country, you are not doing that. What do you say about this?
I think the problem is that I think they're not radical enough. You cannot say that about South Africa when they wanted to deliver themselves from apartheid. They had to go for the most radical among them to take the battle and the mantle of leadership to the front door of apartheid South Africa. I cannot, in good conscience, for instance, wake up and be greeting people who killed Delegiwa or who were suspected to have killed Delegiwa in 1986, not mentioning names, because I know how difficult it is for you guys on radio in Nigeria, in media in general. I cannot go and be hobnobbing with people who have been involved in corruption and have been cited in various corrupt activities in the country. When I mentioned the legalization of marijuana, it was 2019, and now Canada is making $4 billion every year from legalizing marijuana. Most people don't know that the part of marijuana that scares people is just 3% of marijuana. That's the THC. It's an element within marijuana. That's the one that makes people high. And I should say, by way of caveat, that I don't smoke marijuana. But it's very powerful medicinal plant that is found in Nigeria, particularly in Ondo State, Ekiti State, and Delta State. And I know, it's not a matter of belief, having researched over these years, that they have just beyond the value of the smoke. You can use marijuana to make clothes. They are stronger than cotton. You can use them to build house. There's something they call hempcrete, which is different from concrete. And it's found out that that particular building material is even stronger and better and is more durable than cement in building houses. You can use them to cure cancer. You can use them in curing arthritis. And a lot of people don't know that the cannabinoid oil they buy, even from places here in Abuja, is made from hemp. They don't understand it because a little bit of it is 50,000 naira, just a little bottle, small bottle. So I am saying, if you have it and you come around and tell us every year that you have burnt 1.5 trillion naira worth of marijuana. What is the annual budget of Nigeria? 20 trillion this time around. Why are you burning 1.5 trillion naira that you could use? We could have been selling marijuana to fund ASU so that there won't be ASU strike. On a lighter side. So the rest of the world has caught up to this particular golden plant. And we are still here in our own very backward nature, burning down this particular plant. You also mentioned the issue of barracks. I mean, barracks have become an eyesore. I'm sure those who are living in barracks themselves are living at subhuman level, to the point that this particular proposal was a relief to a lot of police officers and who have reached out to me. What I propose is that every police officer in Nigeria should be supported with a housing scheme that will let them own their houses instead of living in barracks perpetually. Because when you retire, you have to leave the barracks. So where do you go from there? That's my concern. And already they've started some small-scale housing scheme for the police, which means that they have even agreed with me before I came out and said this. An average police officer starting from ASP, some of them even privates in the police, are already part of the housing scheme in the police. I'm just saying that we will expand that intensively so that those 350,000 police officers in Nigeria can have 350 houses into which they can retire. Or if they die in the course of duty, their families don't have to live at the mercy of the people in the barracks. So these are things that we all know. But a lot of leaders, or so-called leaders who are aspiring to be president of Nigeria, don't have the courage to talk about these issues. So I'm privileged to know and be willing to speak openly about this. The several other programs, I think you've also heard that we are planning to scrap the 1999 Constitution because it's a fraudulent document.
We'll come to that.
It's not our Constitution.
We'll come to that, and we'll
it's a military Constitution.
Dwell extensively on that. But this is still Insight on Citizen FM 93.7, and my guest is Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the African Action Congress. Insight will take a short break. And when we return, we'll throw the phone lines open and you can be part of this show. Please don't go away. Thank you for staying tuned. It's still Insight on Citizen FM 93.7. My name is Lawrence Umoette, and Omoyele Sowore is still in the studio. Presidential candidate, Africa Action Congress. Let's look at some issues. There are critical issues that Nigerians would want to know the position of presidential candidates. One of them is power. How do you intend to tackle the power situation?
I think we should make it energy instead of power. Power is just part of the energy needs we have in the country. Power meaning electricity. But a country is never going to develop without an energy source that is sustainable and constant. What has been the issue is that we have not developed our power sector the way we should, electricity now. But that is not the only thing affecting the Nigerian people. The Nigerian people have an issue of, cooking gas, industrial gas supplies. We have issue of supply of petroleum resources, particularly diesel, kerosene, jet A1 fuel. And I want to say before I start dabbling into the solution that without an energy source that is constant and sustainable and reliable, this country is never going to develop. You're hearing it from me, and I don't think I'm saying anything very too powerful or unheard of. But the solution is to first and foremost look at how to develop generation very quickly. We're at a miserable 7,000 megawatts of electricity at this point. We need to go to 24 and eventually 60,000 megawatts in 8 years. That's starting from 2023. 8 years from there, we must get to 60,000 at the minimum. And then while we are doing that, also developing our transmission capability and distribution networks across the country. And the way to do it is to adopt an energy mix strategy that involves using particularly renewable energy sources. I have been quoted of saying this, that if we can get Sambisa Forest back from Boko Haram, we can make it a solar farm that will generate only less than 5,000 megawatts of electricity. We need to look for ways of increasing the hydro opportunities that we have, including, and I should say this because a lot of people don't know why Kogi is flooded today. A lot of people don't know why Anambra is underwater today and Bayelsa is underwater. In 1983, there was a lake in Cameroon, I think it's called Lagdo Lake, and they built a dam on their own side of it. And Nigeria was supposed to build its own dam that would generate electricity if they wanted on it. Nigeria refused. As Nigeria has always failed, they failed to do that. And every year now, when the dam is full in Cameroon, they tell Nigeria we're going to open the dam because we don't want our own side of this
to be flooded.
So they open the dam, and before you know it, Kogi is down, Anambra is down, parts of Delta is down with flooding, Nasarawa is down, and these are not the kind of floods that destroy just 5 houses. They wipe out entire villages, sometimes towns, and they kill lots of our people, and they destroy agricultural farms. They destroy the ecosystems as we know them. And so hydro is also very important. And then the proper rehabilitation of the power stations we have which will take us immediately upon arrival in office. That will take us to 10,000 or thereabout, because we have all these gas plants. I have their records, and what they are built to produce and what they are producing is nothing to write home about.
Oh, okay.
So to such an extent that it is very, very important that we elect people who understand these things, though, because under the People's Democratic Party government, they spent $16 billion to buy Nigerian darkness. We are still calculating in one of the APC.
Okay, you can be part of this program by calling us on 0903 222 9797. That's 0903 222 9797. You can also call us on 0808 2222 037. That's 0808 2222 037. In the alternative, you can call us on 0818 222 2205. I think we have a caller here. That's hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, we've picked your call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lawrence.
Good morning. Who's on the line, please?
My name is Patrick.
Okay, Patrick, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. Sowore.
Good morning, Patrick. How are you today?
I'm fine. I know that a very brilliant man. I have known you. I followed you. My question here to you, sir, is this. How are you trying to convince Nigerians that they need to vote you in as the next president of Nigeria? There are some people who call themselves, there are some people we see on social media who are very loud. And we know that the APC candidate too has supporters, and the PDP candidate has supporters. So you now, as a candidate of AAC, how are you trying to convince the whole of Nigerians, the 36 states of Nigeria, including the FCC, that they need to vote you in as the president? Because there are so many things you have highlighted, you have said on this platform now, and you are convincing me. But how will you convince others that they need to vote you in as the next president? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Before you answer that, let me read another. There's a WhatsApp message here so that you take the two together. It says, "Good morning, Lawrence. Thank you so much for bringing Omoyele Sowore onto your program. My question for him is, how will he tackle the level of unemployment if he becomes the winner of the 2023 elections in Nigeria?" So you can take the two together.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick, once again. And I'm doing my very best. And one of it is this radio show today, where we are reaching a sizable number of listeners. But that's not the only thing. Nigerians must decide, and I repeat here, the operating word is must decide this time around, if they want to vote for popular candidates by virtue of what you have said, or competent candidates. Because it's very easy to buy popularity. It's easy to pay off influencers on social media to paint white as red and present incompetent candidates, complicit candidates as the most competent in the country. But as you're hearing me, you also have a job to spread the message to those who are around you. And I know you have your own social cycle of influence, and you should use it, because we have been around for 62 years now as a nation. And we've always made that mistake of voting for people based on religion, on ethnicity. We voted the last time on the basis of lies, and we cannot continue doing that in this dispensation. So I'm pleading with you because I don't have a deep pocket. And as I've earlier discussed with our host here, I also refuse to go and meet those who have deep pockets. I refuse to go and genuflect on the altars of the fallen gods of this country.
One moment, there's a call here. Let's take this. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning. Who's on the line, please?
Yeah, Yemi is my name. Yemi actually is my name.
All right, Yemi. Yemi, please, can you speak louder? Just go ahead.
Okay, please. I actually want to ask the AAC presidential candidate. Like, now that his national passport has been collected from him and he can't leave Nigeria, so why he wants to make him to raise funds? Because I believe the people in Nigeria here, for them to raise funds, it will be quite difficult because of the economic situation. And without a very good engagement with those in diaspora, I don't think
be willing or they will be forceful about raising funds for me. But I believe the election atmosphere in Nigeria, or the political atmosphere in Nigeria, it can't really thrive without proper sponsorship. I mean, when money is really involved in the election.
All right.
So that's the question for me.
Thank you so much. And just like the other one, before you answer that, let me add this, because I was coming to the issue of funds. We have not seen or heard about your campaign council. Don't you believe in setting up a campaign council?
We have a campaign council, but I'm not going to be loud about the campaign council. I just hate this lousy way of doing politics in Nigeria. For just to say it, I did not stop campaigning since 2019. So the council has always been there. Yeah. And our campaign council members are the ones who will go to protest. They are the ones who will fight for good governance. They are the ones who fought during NSAS revolution now and all the struggles. And they are in villages, they are in towns, they are on campuses. So we don't want to have this bogey of a campaign council so that we can make you feel like we have bought new clothes to show to you on TV. It's for people to go into every nook and cranny of the country and campaign. That's the most important person. So anybody that believes in us, or that believes in our agenda and our ideology, is a member of our campaign council. That's the way we see it. Though we have organized an administrative campaign council, but we are not going to go the route of the other people who love just shouting about campaign council, when in fact they should be announcing that these are violence councils, these are bribery councils, these are compromising councils.
Okay.
Yes. But there was a question about employment. And
yes,
I know this
unemployment.
Yeah. All the issues that we stated out in our campaign agenda, which has to do with security, the energy sector, power, infrastructure, fighting corruption and education, investment in education, and developing a brand new economic system that favors our people. We immediately provide employment. A huge amount of employment will come from the fighting insecurity, because we have shortage of security agents in the country, and we will employ more of them. We will employ over 200,000 nurses. Now we have to, 600,000 is our plan for over 8 years. Now we have to employ more because the US and the UK and Canada have taken over 8,000 doctors away from us in the last 2 years after they had COVID. And we all suffered from COVID anyway, but they had the advantage because they can pay them better and remunerate them better. The energy sector alone is capable of providing over 2 million jobs. Just to put in place a solar farm, all the young people that will be employed, not only are they going to get employed to do the job, but they have the opportunity of technology transfer. There are massive amounts of housing that we need to build for policemen, soldiers, and our own citizens. Will provide huge amount of employment, number of roads, drinking water that we have plans for, number of teachers that we need to put in our schools are all going to be sources of employment, and we will fight corruption so that nobody takes away what belongs to all of us.
All right, let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Who's on the line,
This
please?
is Senior Citizen Abimbola calling from Ninyanya.
All right, Senior Citizen Abimbola, please go ahead.
I salute your guest to the house, and I admire his astuteness in his delivery. I have a question for him.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Will you, sir, accept any political appointment from the government of the day, either now or in the near future, should you fail in your bid to emerge? Will you now or in the near future, so that you can function in that area of the sphere of your influence? Thank you. This is my question.
Okay.
Well, I get asked this question all the time. I have been around, for those who care to know, for 32 years. Doing the same thing, consistently fighting bad governance. When I was in my 20s, I was offered political appointment. I didn't accept. In my 20s, I was offered a 505 saloon car, SR, the one that used to have AC, Tearoba. I didn't accept. I met Abiola when I was fighting against June 12 in 1990. He gave me 800,000 naira, which is today more than about $800,000. I didn't accept. So I'm not doing this for political appointment. And you know that those who claim that they can work from the inside, they discover that the inside is a cemetery. We have examples of our friends who used to be in the human rights world, and when they get into government, they start observing the table manners of, if you are eating, don't talk. So I'm not going to be like that. I have independently been able to bring myself up without relying on anybody. I didn't rely on anybody to go to school. I didn't have godfathers to travel out of Nigeria. I didn't have any godfathers when I created one of the global media companies in this country. I started with a $600 laptop. So I don't need a political appointment to survive, which is what most people do. But I will continue to serve the Nigerian people in whatever capacity is required of me, whether I'm in government or outside of government. The only way I want to participate in government is to be able to influence the social, political, and economic development of my country. In the capacity of president. That's how I presented myself this time around.
All right, let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Oh, I think we lost that. Let's look at this issue. It's still part of energy. The subsidy question.
Yeah.
Over the years, I'm sorry, I think the line is, but let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Lawrence.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to our guest there, Mr. Sowore.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine. We know and we believe that you have good intention and good promises to Nigeria. The question I want to ask is, every politician has good promises before they enter into office. But once they enter into office, their government will be hijacked by the so-called, I quote, cabals or kitchen cabinet. So how are you going to handle your cabals once you come into office?
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, if there's a word known as cabacide, I will use it I will ascribe it to myself. I've fought against cabals my entire life. I don't like them, and I would never tolerate them around me. I fought against the military cabals when we were in the university. We have fought since 1999 against the civilian cabals in the oil sector, cabals in the subsidy sector, cabals in central bank, cabals who are in customs, immigration. There's no cabal in Nigeria that I've not fought against, including sometimes extra governmental cabals in the religious sector, So there are cabals everywhere, and I can show you evidence that I fought all of them without fear. And I have scars to show for fighting these cabals, political, social, cultural, all kinds of cabals.
Okay, let's move on because we are gradually running out of time. You were 22 years when you became the president of the University of Lagos Students Union.
Actually 21, at the age of 1992.
Okay, yes. So, what do you make of student unionism today?
Oh man, I don't even want to go there. The student unions of today have become an appendage of the state. Not only are they an appendage, they have become an oppressive system against students. And how you describe it is their quest for the paraphernalia of office. A student union leader who is more interested in driving a big car as opposed to fighting for rights of students. In our days, at the University of Lagos, we arrived at the University of Lagos paying 45 naira as school fees. We left paying 45 naira as school fees. That was how so many of us were able to graduate. I'm sure if you did your poll in the university in those days, only about 20% of students could have afforded even that 45 naira. My father gave me only 20 naira to pay school fees. I had to be going from house to house in Lagos to my uncles and cousins to gather the rest of the money. And then they had to pay accommodation of 90 naira. Today, a lot of students are unable to afford college education. They can't even afford secondary education. Some can't even afford primary education. I now hear that there's another layer of education, which is you drop your child to sleep in a place they call crèche, and that one is even more expensive than university education in some places. All these things are problems created by lack of students' activism, And in every part of the world, students, activists are the ones who are trained as leaders that eventually take over their country. You can imagine. I finished from the University of Lagos in 1994, 95 eventually. I'm 51 years today. I'm being told that I should go back to to go to local government because they have ruined all the opportunities for people to have social progress, political progress. They blocked it. And a lot of our people have now gotten to the point that they have internalized that inferiority complex and oppression. They don't believe that they can be president. Whereas the age of presidency is 35 years old. A 51-year-old man is seen to be too
ambitious.
Young, too ambitious to be president of Nigeria. But Obama became the president of the U.S. in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
His 40s. Clinton, in his 40s. JFK, John F. Kennedy, was 39 years old when he became the president of the U.S. So you have in this country today gerontocrats, people who are using our public offices as hospitals and old people's home to take care of themselves and their cronies. What I'm saying is that going back to NANS is unconscionable, or student leadership in this country, that we have the kind of student leaders that we have today. And I hope that will be changed by the students themselves. Because this is part of the reason why ASU has been on strike and students couldn't raise a finger.
Okay, since we are still talking about the universities and students, I just have to squeeze this in. Now, a lot of people have talked about university autonomy.
Yes.
And there's some others who say, oh, that will mean students paying more. Where do we go? How do we resolve the issue of the universities without unnecessarily burdening the student in terms of payment of school fees? What smart way can we address this issue? Briefly.
The smart way to address it is that you can have university autonomy and also have funding of education. They don't have... The reason why ASU or University of Autonomy is important is that governments don't go and interfere in the running of universities. Because universities are supposed to be a special place for development of the brain.
But if they put its money there, they also need to know how.
They don't need to. Do you know that there was a time in this country that the government imposed a former general as the vice chancellor of a school at Ahmadu Bello University? I think it's Kotangora. That's what the issue of autonomy was. How do you put an ex-general to run a university? I don't think the man even attended university before he retired from. It's not your money. It's the money of the public. It's taxpayers' money. Put it where they want you to put it and forget about interfering.
What about accountability? Accountability
can be established without interfering with the universities. If you give them money, the system states clearly how to spend the money. The universities themselves have a budgeting process. You know, university lecturers are not meant for rigging elections alone. In Nigeria, they are supposed to develop tools that will make society function.
All right, let's take this last one, if we may. You still have a treason charge hanging on your head. Is this not a baggage as you go on this journey?
There's never a time in my life since I started activism that there's no one baggage or the other. It is what goes with the territory of resisting oppression. It goes with it. You can have, when Mandela became the president of South Africa, he was still designated as a terrorist in the U.S. So, as long as you're doing right and we have bad governments in place, something got to be hanging on your head. And if it's not treason, it's hunger. If it's not hunger, it's starvation. If it's not starvation, it's insecurity. If it's not insecurity, it's bad roads. If it's not bad roads, it's bad hospital. Something got to be hanging on your head as long as you have bad government in place and you resist it.
All right, I think, okay, we still have 1 more minute or thereabout to squeeze in one more question. You have constantly queried the 2019 election result in a lot of your media outings. Do you think the 2023 election result would be different? In your opinion, is there going to be something fundamentally different this time?
I want to believe it would be, because the public would demand for a more transparent election. But the person I am, I'm a pessimist by nature, and I expect the worst and hope for the best. Yes.
Okay, I remember that for 3 years you were not able to leave Abuja. There was a restraining order.
Yes.
I was just wondering, how was it being restricted? Because I know you to be a restless person. How was it easy to be confined to the FCT for 3 years.
Well, it's the same thing as being confined in Nigeria. Nigeria is an open prison.
Really?
Yes, if you can survive in Nigeria, trapped in it, you can survive anywhere.
Oh, well, that's how much we can take of this program. It does look as if we can continue on and on. But then that's how far we can go on this program. My guest has been Omoyele Sowore, Presidential Candidate, Africa Action Congress. Thank you so much for your interventions on Insight.
Thank you for bringing me.
And we hope that as the campaigns gets hotter and hotter, one of these days we may have cause to bring you back on Insight.
Just let me know.
Oh, well, that's our package on Insight. The program returns tomorrow with another interesting edition. My name is Lawrence Umoette. Enjoy the rest of your day.